Village, including Kinnick Stadium, Carver-Hawkeye Arena, and much more, were not complete without the Hawkeye Express Train. O-scale at 148 most closely would match the Lego creations, which many say the minifigures are something closer to 142. The match to the real Hawkeye Express Train was found in O-scale and will soon be headed to the custom paint shop. I decided to make a modular 5-foot by 9-foot table, using three 3-foot by 5-foot tables to create a layout to fit the train room and allow for future moving. This video covers the construction of the modules, roughing in the tables, and test running the train for clearances before moving to the train room. As the detail work continues, down the road we anticipate occasionally sharing the finer detail work to be completed. A trip to the local lumber yards began the process with an attempt to find reasonably straight and non-warped woods. It is so hard anymore to find straight and non-warped lumber. I figured with their large saws, they could cut the 1/2-inch plywood sheets used for the top to the required 3-foot by 5-foot sizes. Obviously, as you can see, I had to trim their cuts to start with all the same size sheets. I should have just cut them myself, as none of the cuts were the same. Using 1x4s, the framing of the tables began. Applying wood glue to the joints, the framing was clamped together, and I chose to use an air nailer to also secure the joints. The tabletops were glued and secured to the top frames. Corner joints were then inserted for future removable of 1x4 L-shaped table legs. Adjustable screw-in feet were added to these table legs to allow for future alignment and leveling. After completing assembly of 4 legs for each table, they were mounted to the tabletop with bolts through pre-drilled holes. This will allow for the legs to be completely removed from the tops to allow for moving through various doorways. Also, various future wiring holes were drilled through the framing under the tabletops. The plan for the Illutrac design was drawn out on 3 separate papers, one for each module, and laid out where the stadium and arena would be placed. Since fans arriving at the actual stadium had to climb the stairs to the games, it was decided to raise those items and leave a ridge between the trains arriving at the stadium as in the real world. Also, since such long passenger cars were going to be used, clearances for the curves was planned. Again, the plan was checked with track temporarily placed around the outside to double-check design and clearances. Planning to cover each table with 1/2-inch insulation foam sheets, I decided to add 1/2-inch by 6-inch trim around the outside of each table, 3 sides on the end tables and 2 sides in the center table. Then we glued the insulation foam sheets to each separate tabletop using liquid nails and wood glue. Using 2-inch insulation foam sheets, the process of cutting the risers with hot wire cutters according to our plan began. This created spots for the stadium and arena, along with tailgating parking lot and vehicle roads coming up to them from both ends of the eventually joined tables. Also, the ridge below the stadium where the train dropped off fans was roughed in. After all foam sheets were glued in, an undercoating of paint was applied, along with paper printed cutouts of the retaining walls that will be added and the train track temporarily placed on the tables for once again another test of clearances before we disassemble the tables and eventually move them to the train room. We hope to show the various additional details added later as we progress with retaining walls, roads, trees, landscaping, and so much more, along with the multiple various LEGO creations.